I was introduced to basketball when I was a freshman, and it was at the park, just playing with guys, getting up and down. But I didn't play a lot of organized basketball before that. That was I think the first time I realized this is a great sport. It's difficult. You got to play offense, you got to play defense. It's fast moving. But I think it was when I was a freshman in my small town up in Seattle. Magic Johnson's hook shot of 12 against the Celtics. That's the first thing I ever remember. That is the birth of my basketball. The hook shot of 12 was in '87, so I was 9 years old at the time. Yeah, the year going from my junior year to my senior year in high school, I started getting a little bit of notice from colleges, and my whole life changed. I was focused just on basketball. I started working out 3-4 times a day. Bought the strength shoes. I was doing those, 4 times a week, running, playing as much as I can. So that jump from my junior year when no one knew me to my senior year where I had a bunch of scholarship opportunities, that was the biggest improvement I've ever made. So when people ask me, what's your proudest moment in basketball? I am not a guy who looks back and says, wow, I can't believe I accomplished X. I get it over the course of my career, but I was always looking forward. I was always looking, what else can I do? I expected to do the things that I did because of the work that I put in. So I never look back. I only look forward. What I would tell someone that's about to walk away from playing, you better be ready, because if you've been doing this for a long time, your identity is tied into basketball. Your identity is tied into competition. There is no other thing like this. There is no go to work and talk trash to your boys and go to the locker room afterwards and talk about practice. Your life is going to change drastically. So you can do one of two things. You can walk away completely, go play golf or do whatever you want to do, or B, get yourself a good pickup game and try to figure out a way to prolong this, because I do still believe it's a great sport and you can play it for a long time if you take care of yourself. But I would say the first 2 years after I missed it, I played in every YMCA game there was, every rec league game there was. I played every pickup game there was, because it was the thing I missed the most was the competition and the camaraderie with the guys that I've never been able to replace. I also had the perfect job to transition from being a player now doing the broadcasting for the Celtics or in the media, because now I'm around people all the time and I'm around coaches all the time, and I can still get that fix of talking basketball. And if I see something on the floor that's maybe different than how it was when I played, I can ask these guys, say, why do you guys do it this way? And they'll give me an answer. So it's, I think it's a beautiful game, and I think this game is always evolving, and I'm really excited about continuing to learn about, how the game is changing as we see when we watch college or the NBA right now. A lot of people ask, did you set long-term goals? Did you say I wanted to make it to the NBA? I dreamed about that, but I tell you, the way I worked was I made short-term goals, and that short-term goal might be possession by possession. I didn't look at the day and say, I got to get up 200 shots today. I got to be up in the morning shooting. I got to run. I got to compete on every possession. And I think the accumulation of doing that over and over again is what got me to the level that I made it to. If I would have just said, it's so hard to say, one day I want to make it to the NBA. Well, what is the process of that? But I know competing on every possession, treating it like life and death when you're out there playing, whether it be a pickup game or a big-time high school game or an AAU game, that gets you ready for what you're about to face, whether it be in college or the NBA. What keeps me motivated during my time in basketball, whether it be college, NBA, high school, I love competition. I love looking at the game and trying to improve my weaknesses. I was a bad defensive player when I first got to college, but I got with the conditioning people and they told me how I can improve my lateral quickness. The game changed for me. I was an inside player in college, then I became an outside player in the NBA. So I had to get with a shooting coach and work on that. So the game constantly changing, but if you want to be good, you have to continue to change with it. What would I tell my 14-year-old self? I would tell him, be yourself. Don't let all these other people that say, why are you putting all your eggs into one basket? Are you sure you want to just play basketball? You could have more of a life, a more social life. No, I love basketball. I don't want to do anything else. All I want to do is hoop. It's the place where I feel the most normal. And I think growing up, you hear a lot of people saying, why are you doing these things? And you're like, oh, I don't know. It's because it's what I like to do. But really, I would have dove more into it. I would have worked harder from a younger age. I would have just drove down, 20 miles to a pickup game if my friends didn't want to hang that day. So that would be the biggest difference I would make, is being more of a guy who just loves the game and loves to compete. In 10 years from now, I still see myself, calling Celtic games, following the game of basketball. I don't know if I look at myself as somebody that's going to try something completely different in 10 years from now. I'm going to steady the course, but if there's opportunities out there, I'm going to take advantage of them. I think the biggest mistake that young players make, or the biggest waste of time that young players make, is working on things that are not applicable to what the game is going to be. Like a lot of players who are young, who happen to be, let's say, the best player on their own team, they might work on their isolation drills. But that player, if he really was self-evaluated what his talents were, he would probably say, I need to play more off the ball. I need to be a guy who can come off, down screens and shoot. I need to be a guy who can, get other people involved. And I think when players say, I want to be like LeBron, or I want to be like Steph Curry, and a lot of times it's because they like the player, but it's not necessarily what they're best at. I think understanding what you're best at and getting really good at that one particular thing, and then that can lead to 2 or 3 other things, that's where I think people need to put their focus. I think the biggest mistake at the pro level is big men and the training that they have. There's only 3 or 4 guys that post up in the NBA, yet every time I go to a game and I watch these guys work out, they're still working on post-ups. Why would they spend all that time wasting it? You got to learn how to catch, how to dive, how to go down the middle, catch the ball, find a shooter in the opposite corner, how to relocate when a guy drives to the basket. Those are all things that are important. You can't waste time. You only have a finite amount of it. You have to work on things that you're going to be good at. You have to work on things that it's going to help your team. And a lot of people, they kind of look at just themselves or what they're comfortable with versus maybe stepping out of their own comfort zone. A big part of what I do, especially here in the city of Boston, was I want to be associated with some off-the-court charity work. And Shooting Touch is an organization that takes young girls from the inner city and also works with a group of women from Rwanda and gives them opportunity. It opens up doors for them. Because I think the biggest thing in this world is having opportunity, and then also, having resources. So if you're a young girl in the inner city of Boston and you're looking for a place to play that's safe, looking for a place to learn that's safe, like Shooting Touch provides that. So I hooked up with them and it's been great. I'm looking forward to maybe one summer going to Rwanda and seeing how they operate over there, and just empowering women to believe in themselves and understand that, like, with a chance, with some resources and some opportunities, they can go a long ways.